Big business refers to large corporations or companies that typically have a significant market share, substantial financial resources, and considerable political influence. Big businesses can control government in various ways, such as through lobbying, campaign contributions, revolving doors, regulatory capture, media influence, threats of relocation, intellectual property rights, and trade associations. By leveraging their financial resources, political connections, and public influence, big businesses can use these tactics to shape government policies, regulations, and decision-making processes to serve their own interests. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll tell you about 10 ways big businesses today control governments. But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more similar content. Let's dive in. When big businesses control governments, they can use their financial resources and political influence to shape policies and regulations that benefit their bottom line, often at the expense of workers, consumers, and the environment. This can lead to growing income inequality, environmental degradation, and social injustice. In addition, the influence of big businesses in government can create a conflict of interest, where politicians may prioritize the interests of their corporate donors over the public's interests, leading to a perception of corruption and undermining trust in government institutions. 1. Lobbying. Lobbying involves using financial resources and political influence to persuade government officials to create laws or policies that benefit a particular industry or company. Big businesses can hire lobbyists to represent their interests and exert pressure on elected officials to support their agenda. Pharmaceutical companies might hire lobbyists to push for policies that increase drug prices or regulations that limit competition. 2. Campaign contributions. Big businesses can donate money to political candidates and parties, thereby influencing their campaigns and ultimately the policies they support if elected. This can result in politicians feeling indebted to the company and making decisions that prioritize their interests over the public's. A large oil company might donate to a political candidate who supports policies that benefit the oil industry, such as tax breaks or deregulation. 3. Revolving door. The revolving door refers to the movement of individuals between government positions and positions in the private sector, such as corporations. This can create conflicts of interest, with individuals using their influence and connections in government to advance their own interests. When they return to the private sector, an executive from a large investment bank might leave their job to take a high-level government position, where they make decisions that benefit their former employer. 4. Regulatory capture. Regulatory capture occurs when regulatory agencies that are supposed to oversee and regulate an industry become influenced or controlled by the industry they regulate. This can lead to lenient regulations that favor big businesses and allow them to operate with minimal oversight. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, might become too friendly with the fossil fuel industry, leading to weak environmental regulations that allow companies to pollute more without consequences. 5. Media influence. Big businesses can own or control media outlets, which can allow them to shape public opinion on issues and influence government policies. This can lead to biased coverage that favors the company's interests. A media conglomerate might own a news outlet that consistently reports favorably on policies that benefit the company, such as tax breaks or deregulation. 6. Threats of relocation. Big businesses can threaten to move operations to another location, which can influence governments to provide tax breaks, subsidies, or other incentives to keep them in their current location. This can result in governments prioritizing the interests of the company over the public's. A large automotive company might threaten to move its factory to another state or country if the local government doesn't provide subsidies or tax breaks. 7. Intellectual property rights. Big businesses can use intellectual property rights, such as patents and copyrights, to restrict competition and stifle innovation. This can limit the development of new products and technologies, as well as prevent smaller companies from competing in the market. A pharmaceutical company might use its patents to prevent other companies from producing cheaper generic versions of its drugs. 8. Trade associations. Trade associations are organizations that represent a specific industry or sector and advocate for its interests. Big businesses can use trade associations to coordinate their lobbying efforts and influence government policies and regulations. The National Restaurant Association might lobby for policies that benefit the restaurant industry, such as opposing increases in the minimum wage or opposing mandatory paid sick leave. 9. Influence over research and development. Big businesses can provide funding for research and development, R&D, in specific fields, which can give them control over the direction of research and the resulting innovations. This can lead to innovations that prioritize the company's interests over the public's. A large technology company might fund research into artificial intelligence, AI, and then use its findings to develop products that benefit the company rather than advancing the field in a way that benefits society as a whole. 10. Control over supply chains. Big businesses can control supply chains by owning or partnering with suppliers and distributors. This can give them control over prices, quality, and access to products or services, which can be used to influence government policies and regulations. A large retailer might force suppliers to lower their prices, putting pressure on them to cut corners on quality or pay their workers less. This can lead to unsafe working conditions or environmental damage. Corporations today exert a considerable and occasionally overwhelming influence on global politics. In some countries, the influence of corporations on government is so great as to give rise to the suspicion that the government is actually controlled by corporations. Even in those countries that strictly limit corporate influence on political campaigns, the corporate sector can still play an important role in the development of governmental policies through sophisticated, high-level lobbying. That was all from us today, folks. For more similar content, make sure to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.